Hey, what's going on, guys? Darth back with another Queen's Blade Limit Break video. And then this one, this is kind of the start of this is basically the start of a series of videos that I'm going to be doing, going into stuff like rune skills, which is a sorely needed series of videos that I really need to make. Also, I'm going to be making a series of video about choices, hard choices in this game when it comes to making the right choice or decisions when selecting gear upgrades, rune upgrades, and the things of the like. Because in this particular game, unfortunately, it takes quite a long time to obtain resources to be able to upgrade certain items, and you don't want to make a mistake. And a mistake could cost you not only thousands of materials, but months of time that you really actually don't have when it comes to gacha games. And this game is no different in that particular regard. And you're going to kind of see that today. So in this one, I just want to kind of touch on runes. Specifically offensive or defensive should you go when it comes to your runes. Well, that is a much more complicated decision to make, and it could end up costing you in the end. Now, there is a difference between what rune skills you probably should have for specific warriors in any given warriors and what you probably could be using depending upon the meta. And that's the decision. So if you don't know, runes are equipable in your gear slot. You can equip up to 2 runes per character for a total of 10 on a 5-man team. And they all start with varying rarities from green, blue, purple, orange, and red, and then it goes up to mythic. But for the most part, I think most people are going to work up and get to the orange rune because of how long it takes to get to orange rune. You got to fuse up to them or you have to buy them. But runes themselves provide passives or new skills that can actually be used in combat, and they are quite powerful even to this day. They mean the difference between winning a battle, losing a battle, and being effective in PvP altogether. Now, we talked about choices of offensive or defensive. If you go into any rune, you can access the index, go into Reform, I think it is, but if you click on the icon here, they have a number of skills that go up in value in terms of power, all the way up. Now, depending upon the level of rune you have, depends on the level of skill that you can have. Most people are going to hover between purple and golden, depending upon if you're a whale or new player, and some will even make it up to the red. When I make it to the rune videos and that series of videos, you're going to see how easy it is actually to get into golden. And you're not going to want to actually start worrying too much about reforming runes until you get to gold anyways. But that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to talk about some misinformation that I think needs to be brought to your attention. Especially since I have been monitoring Discord, and I have a sordid history with Discord, the people on Discord, and I think that they provide accurate but also inaccurate information. And information that doesn't have the proper context is also considered inaccurate information. Now, when it comes to runes, when it comes to offensive or defensive, I'm splitting those into 2 categories because that's really what they are. That's what we're forced into because of the way PvP meta actually works. You're going to get to see that here in a second. Now, that's not to say that there isn't a specific way that you should actually build tunes. Here I have Captain Liliana. She's a DPS. And then I have my warrior princess here, a witch who buffs up my team and heals to some degree. So one would think that you would go offensive with your runes on Captain Liliana and more support / defensive with the witch. And that's not actually accurate. And again, that's because of the hard choices that you're going to have to make when it comes to the game. But in order to make these choices, you're going to have to understand the game. Everybody knows that the fish right now is causing havoc in PvP. That is not a strategy in PvP, that is RNG luck. I'll cover that in another video, and say what you want about what I just said. I don't care. Don't give a shit. It is a crutch, and I can prove it. But that notwithstanding, The issue here is defensive or offensive. So when you come in here, there's a ton of runes, skills that you can pick, okay? From barrage to increasing your crit damage to increasing your damage overall. And one would think that that's the way you would want to go with your rune skills. And technically that's where you should be going with your rune skills. But I'm here to tell you that there's another strategy, because the game is going to force you, because of the PvP meta, and that is a large portion of this game is PvP, you're going to be forced into whether or not that's the right decision. What I mean by is the fish has a problem in that she has the potential to charm your entire team, turning them against each other. And there's not really a whole lot that you can do about it. You can equip immobilization resist, but immobilization resist is almost a one-to-one value sometimes. It's easier to get more immobilization than it is to get immobilization resist. And even if you do pump yourself up with immobilization resist, the fish technically still has up to a 50% chance to immobilize you anyways. And the fact that she can immobilize your entire team becomes a problem. So this is what we're talking about with choices. I think that most people should go defensive with their runes. Why? Because some of the defensive runes can be used as offense. So let's just take the fact that the fish can charm your entire team. The fish charm, a lot of people still don't understand that it can be removed. It can be cleansed. Now, the game lacks a lot of cleansers, self-team cleansers in the game, and that is one of the warriors that is sorely needed to be added per skill group going forward. But I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to show you a rune real quick. It's the single most important rune skill that anybody can have on their warrior, and that is the advanced purify. 60% chance of removing all debuffs at the beginning of the turn. The reason I'm at golden is because that's where you really want to start when it comes to your runes. You don't want to reform too much in the form of purple, but the advanced purify, in my opinion, is the single most useful and most powerful rune skill in the game. And people are going to challenge that, don't care. I'm never going to give you an opinion without context or qualifying my statement, unlike people in Discord who don't qualify their statements. 60% chance of removing charm, the fish's charm, is actually more powerful than immobilization resistance. That's right. This skill right here can cleanse yourself of the charm effect. Now, all of your warriors should have advanced purify. Not only does it cleanse the charm, it actually cleanses all debuffs that do not say not removable. Flame burn, I'm talking about P. Claudette's HP flame burn. It can cleanse all of that, removes it. You have a very high chance at the start of every turn to cleanse yourself of debuffs. Even if you're immobilized already, it actually cleanses the immobilization effect, which means it's not only one of the most powerful defensive abilities, it's one of the most powerful offensive abilities depending upon how you look at it. Because if you can cleanse yourself of being frozen, for instance, you're back in the fight and you can continue to do damage to the enemy team. Single most powerful rune skill you can have in the game currently. A lot of people are going to say that it's speed. Wrong. Incorrect. I don't fear speed in PvP, quite frankly, because even if you go first and immobilize me, I have a 60% chance, and I'm actually working on the red skill. The red skill has a 70% chance, which means even if you immobilize me, chances are I'm going to cleanse it anyways. I don't fear speed. Not to say that this is an inaccurate statement to say that speed is one of the most valuable assets in PvP. It is, but it is not the end-all, be-all. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. Speaking of debuffs, advanced endurance. This is one that's often overlooked. It increases your max HP, and 6% isn't nothing, but it is something. But it removes ongoing received debuff damage by 17%. Why do I say that? Because another person who's killing it in PvP right now is Philia. She does damage based on max HP, and a lot of people in PvP have max HP. Now, it may not cleanse, or it may not reduce the damage of the actual direct damage skill on number 1, but When it comes to Whirlpool, when inflicted by Whirlpool, it takes 10% physical damage and HP equal to 5% of the user's max HP each turn for 2 turns. And it's on a 3-turn cooldown. That's huge. Even though it technically only triggers when an ally is immobilized, it'll actually reduce the damage by 17%. P. Claudette's Flame Burn, that does like 15% of your max HP, it actually reduces that by 17%. That's not the point of what I'm trying to say here, is that when it comes to runes, there is a lot of misunderstanding with how people should gear. I've been monitoring Discord and I saw the list of, well, here's what you should put on specific warriors and tunes, and here's the other options. I wholeheartedly disagree with at least 50% of that. You're talking about somebody who's giving you information without context and understanding, giving you proper understanding about how the game is actually played, and not telling you the differences between these other abilities that are there. The other most important ability I can tell you right now is evasion. 14% evasion. I'm sorry, but if you can stack evade and you can't hit me, and you can stack evasion, by the way, you can get up to about a 70% evasion rate. It's somewhat difficult to do, but if you can't hit me, you can't damage me. That's offensive and defensive. Show you another one. 45% chance to reflect 40% of the damage received. At red, it's 50% chance, meaning that when you attack me, I can reflect 50% of that damage right back at you. What I'm saying, the point of this video is to give you an introduction to study your skills and know your enemy. If your enemy is stacked with 3 or 4 fishes, I mean, there's not really much you can do. That needs to be changed too, by the way. You should not be able to have more than 1 warrior in a team composition, no matter how many teams you deploy. And yes, I am going to be submitting that to the devs to make a change. You can hate me all you want about that. It encourages more diversity and more team setup if you can only deploy 1 warrior per team. I'm not saying that some of these other skills, you know, immobilization, but look, immobilization 11%, 20% immobilization resistance. You're going to have to make a choice. Why are you going to have to make a choice? Because it costs way too much to be able to get to a point where you either roll randomly the abilities that you need and want, or you get them by spending enough runestones to be able to select your own skill. It takes far too long to get the runestones needed in order to be able to do that. So what I mean by choices is when you make a choice, you're going to have to live with the choice that you have. You can go offensive, but I think you're going to be at a disadvantage. You need to start thinking a little more defensive to all these people that can afford 3 or 4 fishes in PvP, and they rely on that crutch of randomness. I think I saw somebody in Discord make the statement, oh, if you lose to somebody, just keep challenging them until you get a good roll on your charms. That's not a strategy. That's a cheese crutch. And it doesn't make you better than somebody just because you're relying on a broken tune. Just saying. I have currently in my inventory, where is it? I should have had this more prepared. I have runestone, 619,000. It took me months and months and months to get that. I'm going to put this in perspective with you when I talk about choice. You're going to have to decide between offensive and defensive because, whoops, on the golden ones, on just a standard team of 5, okay, it takes 67,000 runes to be able to pick your own skill. That's 1 slot out of 4. It's huge, guys. To get 2 pick your owns, it's 135,000. And you have 2 runes. Okay? It takes way too much in terms of runestones to be able to figure out what you need to be effective in the game. Study your runes, guys. Study the current meta and see how you can actually go about beating them, because I can tell you right now, I've been playing since April, and I still haven't been able to get a pick my own choice on all my tunes let alone being able to do that across 2 to 3 teams. Anyways, guys, that's been my little rant right now. Let me know what you think. What is your plan going forward with your runes? What skills do you value? And did you even at least glean what I am saying about making choices to combat the different PvP metas over just blindly believing what somebody might have on their tunes or be telling you in Discord? That's it, guys. I look forward to bringing you much more content, tips, and tricks. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot in my growth, and I'll see you in the next one.